you so much for doing this interview. I am at grad school at Tisch getting my MFA in dance, and I this semester I'm writing a research paper on whatever topic that I felt that I could have an interest in dance. And so I chose to look at the dance world and I'm trying to unpack and unravel and see if we are at a place where we're inclusive of those who are gender different, whether you be trans, gender nonconforming, queer. So oftentimes in the dance world, I feel that we are very stuck in a gender binary that is specific to male and female. And I think
Yeah.
that there's certain roles that exist, gender roles that exist in the dance world that are linked to hypermasculinity and hyperfemininity and looking at the difference between, is there gender equality within the dance world, meaning that are male choreographers more successful than female choreographers? Are there more opportunities that exist in the dance world for that? And I also wanted to kind of um, take my experience in theater and dance and like just kind of I've been interviewing. I interviewed a Broadway casting director 2 days ago. I'm talking to
Mm.
you. I'm talking to another um, friend of mine who is an ABT and has done Broadway and national tours and stuff like that.
Mm.
Just kind of about you know coming up in, so you're playing, like, you're doing it big. You're playing Lola right now in Kinky
Yeah.
Boots. Do you feel that we're gonna maybe get to a place where we have more characters that are gender nonconforming in theater?
I definitely do believe that. I was reading the other day that I believe it's James St. James is like writing a musical, and Willem from Drag Race is going to be one of the characters, and Raja is like designing the costumes for it. And I was like, oh, in light of this conversation, I was like, that's clearly we're moving in a direction where it's the theater world is being more open to these ideas, and especially Kinky Boots is helping, and Lacage definitely led the way in that, in um, drag queens being a medium that people don't expect to get a story and a message and a heart and get something from. They're just like, oh, I thought drag queens were weird people who just wanted to be a woman, or had their preconceived notions of it.
Of what that gender spectrum is.
Yeah, but now they're seeing, especially with Lola, that like Lola's just another person. She's got struggles too. She, wants to be loved and accepted, and she just happens to love to put on a broad boot and a panty every now and then.
I will definitely say that my experience with sometimes theater and gender nonconformity, I feel in many ways, the stories have been linked to this level of equating acceptance with gender nonconformity through performance, and that
Yeah,
it's only okay for me to be accepted as other in terms of gender, being trans, being queer, being gender nonconforming, if I'm performing for a cis heteronormative audience. So it's
right.
still this notion of, that I'm a man, and it's a joke and it's funny. So in Lacage, I felt that Harvey was getting to a place in his writing where he was trying to create a conversation about it and create layers of depth with these
Yeah,
characters. But I thought that he got as far as he could at that time.
yeah.
And I thought that his writing in Casa Valentina was like so amazing because it
Mm.
really showcased this spectrum of gender, and as it related to the trans, queer, and gender nonconforming communities, that there was this spectrum and there wasn't this there wasn't this huge performance element with these characters in Casa Valentina, and I think that put straight people at a dis-ease because
Mm.
there wasn't something that they could laugh at to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But can you unpack? Because I think that in Kinky Boots, I feel that we're getting to a place where we're seeing Lola in and out of drag. So do you feel that we're getting to a place where we're able to write characters with more depth than just having them perform and drag a whole show?
Oh, absolutely. And it's definitely a blessing to be on tour and to be able to touch bases with people. A lot of times we'll do Q&As after shows with Cindy Lauper's group, True Colors, with LGBT youth, and there'll be trans youth, and a lot of them have expressed to us, at first they were upset. There's a line I say, they're like, oh, they're not transvestites, they're drag queens. And like,
They're not transgender. They're just drag
like
queens.
defining what those things are for people. And they thought for a minute that it was something against them as transgender people, but then they realize as the story and the message goes on that like it's about accepting everyone for who they are and whatever they bring to the table. Um, and we love seeing those straight couples, those being in the audience and the husband being like, "Oh, I was dragged here," but by the end of the show, he's with it and he's up and he's dancing and he's got the message. And you see these people. Last night there was this old man with his cane just in the audience, just dancing because he was happy. And like, it tickled my heart. You see this little old white man just like, yeah.
Right.
But it definitely is like being Lola and being able to go in and out so that they see like there's a difference and like there's a real person here and there's a heart and there's more to just the like
just the performative nature of drag. And so because many times I can feel that theater can kind of put gender nonconformity in a box, and I feel that sometimes it could be very linked to like a minstrel show.
Yeah.
And I feel that like for me, I definitely feel it's really important that we do have these shows, right? But I feel that, where can we continue to have deeper discussions about that and give new visibility to trans the trans community, the gender nonconforming queer communities that, in many ways, I would love it if we were at a place where we could have a trans character that was just a trans character and it wasn't, it was a character. It wasn't like a story about that. And I think that those stories do need to be told, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking in terms of being able to integrate, ideas of other into just a complete story, so,
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently because it's important to be able to just be inclusive.
and I will definitely say that sometimes I feel in the theater industry I feel very excluded, and I definitely feel that if I have lacage on my resume, people just think that that's all that I can do, and that I can't be a man on stage, and
Yeah.
because I don't fit this mold, this Broadway showboy mode of having huge muscles and being hyper masculine. And so I was talking to this casting director about that, and he was like, yeah, he's like, it's something that is a real issue, but in many ways, that is coming from the higher ups, right? That like producers are putting this money, putting millions of dollars into their show, and
Right.
they want kind of what the status quo is, and they don't want people who are going to cause an audience to be taken back or want their money back or not want to invest their money. So they
Yeah.
want something that's very safe. But within that, I feel that we've gotten this homogenized look about maleness in theater. And, it's like, well, I'm at a place where I'm accepting who I am. And why can't the people in my own industry be on that level? So why do we have to subscribe to this, like, this idea of, like, I need to have big muscles in order to be a desirable candidate to get a role? Is that something you've experienced?
I've lived by this motto that was like, I'm a singer. Like, I don't need a body. We leave that to the dancers who are really twirling and giving and like. But then even in re-auditioning, I knew that I had to look a certain way in order to prove to them that I can give them what they need.
And what was that?
It was like, oh, I need to go in here looking as toned as I can, as fit as I can. It may not, it may be an illusion, but you still need to get the idea.
But I wonder about younger people who are coming into this industry, and I see so many of my friends who've like transformed themselves to like fit this mold, and sometimes it's worked and sometimes it hasn't. And I was talking to this casting director, and he just was like, well, what happens when you transform yourself into this image and like you're still not booking?
Then
He
work
would,
for yourself.
and he was like, kids have like identity crisis over it. What ways do you think that we can create space for those who are gender different in the theater and dance well, we'll just talk specifically to your world in the theater community.
It really, as you said, like we have to first of all, we can't be afraid of it, and we have to find the the vocabulary to be able to have the conversations and to be able to bring it to light. And it's hard to do that, but at the same time, society is going in that direction. And a part of the problem is, and you stated it before, is it's the older generation that is not understanding of it. And so, in a sense, we kind of have to, unfortunately, like, wait to phase them out. But in the meantime, we do have to make the efforts of creating the work for ourselves to be able to start the conversation, to be able to do things like genderosity and to blur those lines. And I, I like I love gagging people at the stage door every day when I come out and I'm draped and pulled and they're like, wait, oh,
She's giving shows.
right. They're like, oh, you're giving us all of this after the show. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is like, I'm not about to like diminish who I am.
And for me, that was when I found out that you were Lola. I was so like in a place of like, yes, God, because I think that who you are is you are in many ways this character. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like the fact that you are gender nonconforming, you do drag, you have so much life experience with some of the same issues that this character has. So why
yeah,
not? Why not let a person who's lived that experience be that role versus choosing a straight guy or choosing an actor that they think is hot
yeah,
or a name just to
yeah.
like play that role and like really kind of diminishing the level of life experience that could be up on that stage, you know?
And
You know?
and and one of the things that made me feel good about being able to do this full time was I emailed all of the creatives and everybody once they chose me, and one of my producers responded to me and said, we know that you're talented and you're great and you're going to do wonderful at the role. She said, but what I'm excited about is your commitment and your style and your story connected to it. Like and that was what she was excited about, and that made me feel good coming from my producer that she saw that it was beyond just the on stage work and like
Right, that you're really living this, and especially if it's a show about being who you are, then why not have that attached to the show? Like that's just that's really incredible, and I think especially being that you're doing these talkbacks with Cindy Lauper's like organization, it would be bullshit if they had somebody who was just like, oh, I'm just an actor. I haven't lived this experience, so like I'm just here for a paycheck and I'm here to get the applause and take the bow
yeah,
and get the credit on my resume.
yeah,
So yeah, you know what I mean? I think for me, what I was telling this casting director and what we were kind of talking about is that, it really comes down to I would love for us to get to a place where we have gender inclusion on the other side of the table. So casting directors, writers,
yeah,
directors, producers, if we have that kind of influence, coming from the money side, then I think that that is really going to infiltrate the industry in a way where we're able to see different elements of gender on stage, that we're able to have women not play certain gender roles on stage, reproducing these like patriarchal statuses in
yeah, yeah.
shows, and that we're able to see different people of color, and like we're not just getting this homogenous look across the board, so and
It's it's very slowly, but it's creeping its way in that direction, and it's just a matter of us turning up the energy and turning up the drive to want that and to know that it's possible. Because I think what is really in the way of it is the fear of like, will it work? Will it actually get across? And how do we really successfully go about doing that?
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about Cindy Lauper's foundation and the work that you guys are doing at these talkbacks? Like, what is the organization? What are some things that it stands for, and how is that related to the show?
Her True Colors organization, from what I know, is and it's set up across the country
Mm-hmm.
for and youth, and they do outreach, and they we get them tickets for the show, and they come and they get a tour of the show during the day, the backstage workings of it all, and then after the show we'll come out and do a Q&A with them so that they understand, who we are, and we get to touch bases with them and inspire them and encourage them to continue to be who they are and know that it's okay, and to show that we are not just acting on stage, that we too have that story and the same message of like, yes, I've been there. I've been in that place where my father or my mother didn't understand me, and I had to be bold enough to stand in my truth and own it and say, look, this is who I am. Get with the program, or honey, you're getting left behind.
Right. Now, are these kids a lot? Are they children of color? A lot of them.
Yes, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are minorities in a lot of these cities. All Latino, Asian, like
Mm-hmm.
they're a diverse group of kids, and you know, female to male, male to female, trans, LGBT, like everything is represented, and they are well encouraged and well supported in their community through this True Colors Foundation.
Also really amazing that this organization is bringing visibility to people in those communities, so it really brings it full circle that there's really an opportunity for change and growth within these communities via the show. So that's really amazing. Well, any last words? I don't want to. I know you gotta rest the voice. I don't want you talking for an hour when you got that show tonight, boo.
It's so good. No, I really enjoy doing this. It's everything. And like I said, it's definitely something that it's been bubbling in me, this story and this message, and moving in that direction of more equality and acceptance and understanding, because it's I've always personally just hated labels and the what makes sense to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely a time where we have to step forward, stand up, not only for ourselves, but we have to, like you said, find the vocabulary to have the conversations with other people. I've interacted with more trans people recently than I've ever imagined that I would.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation that I've had with them on a respectful level of just understanding who they are as a human,
Mm-hmm.
and where they stand and what it is they need and desire and want out of life, it's just like, all right, it's just as easy as talking to the person sitting next to you, whoever it is, and just being open to what that is. And this show has definitely helped me do that, and even accept myself better.
Right. Work. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. Your voice is just. I was so excited that you agreed to do this, because I think that there's we have such a shared experience, and where you are in the work that you're doing. Congratulations. Keep it up and keep turning the party, honey.
Honey, for all the children.
Please. Yes, God.
Let's go.
All right. Bye, my love. Mwah.